Hello, everyone. Madeline Dell here with the Chapter Goddess. And today I have a fantastic author for you guys. He's got a unique and funny novel that I am excited to dig my fingers into. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us a little about him and his books. So take it away.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me on the show today. My book is an uplifting, fun comedy adventure. It's really a book about a lot of self-discovery and growth and empowerment, and laid with all these laugh out loud moments. And the reason it falls into that sort of area is you've got the main character named Serbanan, who's this alien being from a planet far away. And for some reason, something happens and he switches bodies with this teenage boy on Earth. And it's both beings are seeing their worlds in a completely different way with like brand new sets of eyes. So there's all these really cool moments throughout the book.
Holy cow, that is amazing. The fact that they switch bodies, I can only imagine the shock they go through.
Yeah, it was so much fun writing that because when you write something, you get into that whole world, right? And I would like be writing it, feeling the emotions that the characters were going through, and still telling the story at the same time.
Nice. Did you have a character that you preferred over the others? Almost like a favorite?
Uh, Not so much, because there's an aspect of me or the adventures that I would have wanted to have or did have that are embedded in each one. And they represent, I guess, different stages within my life or those characters' development. I guess if one was going to stand out more than the other, it would be Serbanan, who's this just fun partying guy that's just roaming and looking for adventure.
Nice. And you said you kind of loosely based them off of yourself. Is that correct? Just then?
To a certain degree. What happened was, when I was in my teens, I had read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and really enjoyed that series. Was really blown away by the ability to like laugh out loud from something that I read. But when Douglas Adams finished writing that series, it was done. So I wanted, some kind of fun adventure to continue. So, that's why I wrote it, just so I could have that ability to enjoy a story. And obviously it could only be based on things that were happening in my life. So if we had some weird, fun story with my friends, I would twist it into all kinds of different, extra adventures and stuff like that.
That is fascinating. I like how you're tying in your world into that world. You mentioned it includes an alien. So the world building for this book, did you have to do any research on that, or did you come up with it all on your own?
On my own, and it wasn't so much a big aspect of the world building. Mm-hmm. That's going to start to develop more. I'm writing book 2 right now, and it's going to develop more in the series. This was more of the situational experiences that the characters were having in the environment that they were in, not really even understanding a bigger picture of what the world is or what there would be to be in a world building, other than it's in 2 completely different, here, one galaxy and another. But yeah, I would imagine as you start getting much more detail on that world building, then you've got to develop the map system and the plans and what everything is all about. And my book was more of, it falls into sci-fi just because it's that realm of, anything possible. It falls into a fantasy also because it has that same realm of anything possible. But it's not based on the hardcore elements of true sci-fi or true fantasy, where you've got getting into that world building aspect of it.
That makes sense. It's really good. As a writer, are you a plotter or a pantser?
I kind of let whatever that creative flow come in. The planning parts are more broad-based of, yeah, I plan to do 5 books, but I also might do 9 books. So it's not specific like that. It's more if I know here's the outcome that I would like to happen, and I'll see what occurs. And I normally am very, very open to whatever is going to come out. So I'm not attached to a specific outcome. If the character does something completely bizarre, in my book, I break that barrier, and between the reader and the author, and the narrator of the book, multiple times. So I kind of leave it that flow is just going to ebb and weave, and the overall plot is, I haven't even figured out where it's going fully yet. What is helpful to me is my wife is the development editor. Mm-hmm. So at least there's somebody else who can come in and kind of see, well, this makes sense, or this doesn't flow, or this needs a tie-in, or something else. So in that part, there's the plot development, which I guess falls on her side.
That's interesting. I like that you guys work together on this. That's fascinating. Do you guys ever fight about the book or the storylines when you work together?
I would say there's been times where we've had the difference of opinion. And oftentimes it was more that, when you write and you put something out and you think, well, that's amazing. How can that be anything but really, really great? It's the ability to let go from that and realize, well, it can't all be great.
Yeah.
And, things have to be edited and moved around and things like that. But overall, other than a few situations where I remember I just didn't agree, but it was more, again, that I wasn't seeing the bigger picture. See, my background together with my wife is in the wellness and the empowerment and the fitness space. So because this book was written during like the lifespan of my years, there's a lot of empowerment messages that were able to be built into it. And Mindy saw it from that perspective of, okay, if we look at from an eagle eye view, well, here's what the book is about, and the story is all there, but how can we ensure that there's messages that keep people really empowered, or that when they finish reading it, they'll see things in a different way, and we're touching them in a different way and spreading that message further. So that's layered into it as well. So, it's not so much about the plot, it's about the messaging.
I like that, the messaging behind it all, because that was going to be my next question, was what you want readers to get out of it. And besides empowerment, what else would you like readers to get from it? Is there other messages that you have in there?
I think the first message is that ability for people to realize that they should just pause for a moment and laugh, or have that ability to do something that they enjoy. Milton Berle said, laughter is the best medicine. And just being able to laugh and let go and be silly is a nice mental health break. The key messages that I want people to take away from the book is to rethink. Just think about things differently. Look at it with a new set of eyes in a playful fashion. Be able to go with the flow. And there's a lot of that there. Part of that messaging is, when I said my background's in the fitness space, it was in helping to start a movement of natural bodybuilding and what's known as fitness model search events. And we recognize that so many people place so much emphasis on the outside version of their body, and they forgot about everything else. And the initiative that we evolved that to was to help people step into their superhero, to love better how they think and feel and act and look and dream. And that really has to start by redefining how people look at what it means to be fit, because it's not just about strength and appearance. So my book embraces that message that being fit is about mental and emotional and social and functional and spiritual health. And part of that whole holistic approach is creativity. When you get into that flow state, as you would know as well, when you get into that flow state, you can either choose it to relax and enjoy, or to be creative and let an output, come out and, convey a different message. So there's a lot of that built into what the messaging is behind the book.
I absolutely love that, because that is something I've struggled with, especially as a new mom and stuff, self-care and like staying in that good mental state and staying on top of everything. I love that message is behind your book. And I really hope readers will pick it up, because especially those of you watching this, like, this is an important message to everybody. Self-care is very important. Taking care of your body is important, because that is the main thing that's going to make you function daily. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's wonderful. And I love the cover on here. It is fun, and the colors and everything. It makes me happy just looking at it, especially the little smiley faces, the planets with the tongue sticking out. Those are wonderful.
Thank you.
They're very creative. Did you have a hard time deciding on the cover? Did you have any trouble with that?
So the first cover, I don't know if you can see something here. So the back of the book right now, on the cover, you see there's this little image. That image is called an Inukshuk. An Inukshuk is a native sculpture from ancient worlds or so, that depicted coming together in community and friendship, and like a beacon to come together. So I had taken, me and my wife were on a camping trip, and there was this beautiful Inukshuk, huge. And we took a picture of that. And I said, well, that will be the cover of the book. And although it looked amazing as a picture, once we actually saw it in print and thought, well, I don't know if that's really the cover. So that was part of that process of still needing to let go and wanting to do everything myself. I'll do the cover. And then I found an artist to do it, and the cover came out kind of how I envisioned it when I first started writing the book, so many years ago. So when it came out, and the first version of it didn't have the smiley face. They were just planets. And then the last version, we put the smiley face in and turned those planets. And it just made it pop, and gave the feel of what the book's about.
I like it. It's definitely fits the happy humor empowerment idea. Because that's definitely going to be an eye catcher, especially if somebody sees it on a bookshelf. It's going to be like, oh, hey, what is this? Like, this is something different in this aisle. Yeah. So I like that, because you want it to stand out. As an author and creative in general, what have you found has been the biggest struggle for you in writing and creating this book?
Good question.
It's a deep question. I'm sorry, I kind of threw that one out there.
For me, the editing process. I could read it once, twice, 3 times, and then you're reading it to a point where you can't even look at the words anymore. You know them kind of off by heart. And that's when my wife was able to step in. It helped so much on that. But every time there would be a new edit of it and I'd need to reread it, I hated that process. And I know sometimes a word can change the whole tone of what you're doing. So it's very important to, with specificity, be able to do things. But rereading it again and again and seeing that new word or so, that's the process I didn't enjoy.
I'm with you on that, because I'm one of those, my brain, it will skip over words really fast, or I will mentally add a word that's not there, just like small, like the or a or and sometimes. And I'm like, oh gosh, let me go back and reread this again. So the editing process is very time consuming.
It is. And it's a different, so when you're writing, you're using that part of your brain that's in the creative flow state. When you're editing, you have to go into the analytical, and the two clash. And that's why it's so typical doing it that way, and that why you need somebody else to be able to do it.
A second set of eyes or more. So
or more.
I utilize beta readers to go over it. My process is insane. I'll do beta readers, do more editing, send it to beta readers again, edit again, and then send it to an editor and continue the process with that. And it's insane. Do you have a similar process? Do you use beta readers or ARC readers with your work?
I never have, and I've now been learning more about that. And for the next one out, I will. It seems like it makes a lot of sense. I had, probably a handful of people, more so when it came to the audiobook. The audiobook was like just so awesome because it took it to a different level, right?
Yeah.
We were purposeful in the book that we didn't describe the main character. So you never know what Serbanen really looks like. The things he's able to do and stuff like that, and left it still up to the imagination. I may change that. The audiobook, though, when you attach voices to characters, you kind of give it a feel and a potential look, at least in your mind. And that's what happened with the audiobook. So it changed that whole scope of it. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, sorry.
You're good. That's fascinating. Because like I said before the show, I snagged the audiobook, and that I'm going to have to pay attention to that, because voices do influence how you portray characters in your mind.
Absolutely. Because you read it one way. If someone reads it to you, it's completely different. Mm-hmm. The voice actor that we found is a voice actor. So it's more than just a narration. It's like the acting is coming through. And we're actually going to do we're talking about doing another version of the book, really layered with soundtrack and side sound effects and stuff like that. So it's more of a full scale production.
That'll be fun. I have not listened to an audiobook like that in ages. And I loved those because my mom would get those as kids, and we would, I have two other siblings. We would interact and act out the scenes as we were listening to them.
Oh, cool.
So that's really cool. On a different note, with the pandemic and everything still going on, did that affect any of your creativity with this work?
Well, so I had been working on this book, Serbanen, since my teens. It was something I came back to every so often. When the pandemic started and we had to kind of pivot our main business, because that business really is about retreats and events. Mm-hmm. And so we couldn't do that. The focus turned to the book. It was to complete okay, there's not anything that we can really do. So why not go back to a passion project and complete it? So we used that time to complete it. I guess the way that it would have an impact is I don't have the same ability to go and do live events, mm-hmm. to do the book signings and the get-togethers and those types of things that normally would be, just a natural, the conventions and everything else. But it makes you change the way you're focusing, so that you're just more focused in more community-based areas instead of on a bigger scale.
Nice. And then another question: if you could give a piece of advice to new authors, what would it be?
Just to keep going. I know that there comes times when the process gets frustrating. People fall into that notion of, I've got writer's block, when it's really just they haven't got their mind into a calm state to allow the creativity in, or people have certain expectations of, I'm going to start a book and within 6 months it's going to be out and number one on Amazon. It's to keep going even as you start seeing the process is big. If you put a serious focus towards it, it's like any business. Mm-hmm. Requires the same type of attention. Writing the book is when you look at it, it's the easy part, right?
Yep.
And probably the most fun part.
Yes, absolutely, definitely.
Right? It's all the other aspects of the business. The other big advice that I would give people is to let go of needing to be the one to do everything. Oftentimes people think, I don't have the money to do that. I can't do that. And when you actually do the research, or if you put the right intention to find the right way, it normally is not what you envisioned originally. And you start to look and say, well, I can do that. Let me get this done, because if someone else does the cover of the book, it's probably going to look really professional, and probably more people will pick it up. And if I do my own cover, it doesn't have the same appeal. It's when you let go and know that, well, I need a different set of eyes as an editor, and maybe a third set. And I need a proper proofreader, and I need all these different things. That's when I think the magic starts to happen, when you know that you could focus on what you're best at, and then go. If you are a natural editor, great, do that whole process. But still, doing your own stuff is not the same.
Yeah, there's still stuff you're going to miss and somebody else is going to catch.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell our readers where they can find your work and where you're at on social media, and if you have a website.
Okay, cool. So my website is serbanand.com, and you can find everything you need there. On social media, at Jeffrey-Kippel. I'm pretty much on all the different platforms. And the book is on Amazon. It's on Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and it's on Audible. In fact, in the fall, it made it to the top 300 in the comedy category on the Audible, which was pretty cool. So you can enjoy it in all those different fashions. And I have a contest. And the contest that I have out is pick up the book. If you enjoy it, if you have a laugh out loud moment or an aha of any type, well, then tag me on social media, use the hashtag Serbanand, and there's all kind of prizes that people will win from that, from autographed copies of the book to different products and services to help people on their transformation journey.
That is awesome, guys. Definitely go in and get that book and hit that like button and share your aha moments. Like that's fun and that's creative. I love that you're doing that for readers. All right, guys, this is Jeff, and he is at all those locations. I'm also going to have it in the comments below and also in the description. It depends on where you're viewing this. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great rest of your day.